Hello there, friends and foes alike. We're gearing up for Game 4 of the day with 100 Thieves versus the Golden Guardians. It's time to get things rolling with the starting roster. Selecting blue side, it's 100 Thieves with Ssumday in the top lane. Anda in the jungle. Ryu at mid with Cody Sun bottom lane supported by aphromoo and Coach Prawley.
The Anda pose is so good. And challenging them on the red side today is going to be Golden Guardians in the top lane. Lourlo in the jungle. Contractz. Mid lane is going to be Mickey. Bot and support going to be Deftly and Matt with head coach Tyler and strategic coach X Special.
Now, yesterday, 100 Thieves lost out in the battle for first place despite making a lot of really aggressive early plays.
Yeah, I mean, once the game reached 30 minutes, it didn't feel like they kind of had the answers in their comp that they really needed to take down some of those frontliners, right? When you draft for this kind of poke Varus, lethality Varus, you need other answers to kill off people like Cho'Gath and Mundos, and some of the teams haven't been super mindful about that. So we'll see if they're kind of keeping that in consideration for their drafts today.
Well, another team that caught themselves in rather narrow win conditions yesterday was Golden Guardians, who needed to win the lane if they wanted to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt like their plan was, you pick AD Kennen, you slam the Gnar in this matchup, and then you split push to victory, right? And as soon as that falls apart, just as we saw it happen today against Cloud9, then there's not really much else left in the tank, right? AD Kennen is not a great team fighter, does not have the same kind of oomph that an AP Kennen has in flanks or anything like that, so you have to win your lane or you basically are worthless, and that is kind of where they drafted themselves. So we're going to see if they go for a more well-rounded draft, or if they're going to go for a narrow win condition, you have to super focus on making that work. Get that AD Kennen ahead. Get whatever your win condition is ahead.
And Golden Guardians really want to pick up a win here in the 4-game losing streak that they're on. Golden Guardians finished the first round robin, the first half of the split, 5-4 on their record. They are currently 0-4 in the second round robin. They need to turn those fortunes around if they want to be one of those teams that makes it into playoffs and has a postseason.
Yeah, I mean, they really were looking like a playoff caliber team, and they are kind of slipping further and further down in the standings. They're starting to really struggle to kind of close out these games, and I still don't think they look really anything like Golden Guardians from last split, which was feeling kind of more hopeless. But they have these bright moments. They're just not always piecing it all together, and I think that one of the catalysts that they had for a lot of their victories was Mickey and his individual play on some of these assassins. It has been a bit since we have seen him kind of really truly take over a game.
Well, it was also a stylistic change, right? I mean, we saw him use things like the smite mid with a Talon roaming around and taxing chicken camps and going crazy, but you can't really use that
on chickens.
I will never forget the game of normals I played with Zyrene where he played mid smite and took all my chicken camps, and I will never be able to recover from that. It was not a meta that I like. I am glad to see it gone, but I don't believe Golden Guardians feels the same because of the success they found on that with their mid laner. We'll see what they put him on today, but both bot lanes have already been picked up by both these teams. It's Braum Varus on the side of Golden Guardians, going up against the lovers duo of Xayah and Rakan, drafted for 100 Thieves.
It's very interesting because, talking about kind of the smite mid changes hurting Golden Guardians, well, that's something that a lot of people talked about hurting 100 Thieves as well, right? But they're still near the top of the standings, sitting at 8-5. They had been doing so much funnel, really kind of doing it better and feeling more dependent upon that than any other team in the league, but they have been able to quickly adapt, go back to kind of their ways in spring, where it was just drafting and playing around Cody Sun in the bottom lane. Ssumday is still having incredible individual performances, and that is really working for the squad.
100 Thieves was a team that seemed so comfortable with funnel, like you said in spring, even when it wasn't like the meta, it was exactly what worked for them. I won't forget that the infamous Caitlyn game where it was just Caitlyn and a bunch of meatballs, and at the end of the game it was like 68% damage share or something for Cody Sun before funnel had ever become a thing, before the big changes in summer of 2018. But we are through the first part of the draft here. Gragas, the third pick for the side of the Golden Guardians. 100 Thieves also having the Zoe along with the Xayah and Rakan. LeBlanc and Yasuo banned out by the Thieves. Very common bans if you've got Zoe and they haven't picked their mid laner. You want to shut down some of those counter picks that can make her life difficult in the mid lane, while the bans from the Golden Guardians are going to be two of those more carry-oriented top laners in the Gnar and the GP. They must have seen what happened last game with Huni's Gnar. They don't want to deal with something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're trying to really take advantage of Ssumday, hey, you need to limit this guy's champion pool. He has been such a monster throughout the season. We could just see him go for something safe like a blind pick Mundo. That can be hard to really take advantage of. If the Mundo is willing to give up farm in bad matchups, it feels very tough to kind of push it past just the CS advantage unless you get jungle help. But yesterday, obviously, they went for that kind of split push strategy. They went for the AD cannon into the Gnar matchup. Lourlo had counterpick. That did not work out. So we'll see if Golden Guardians is going to look for that or just grab themselves another tank. Wow, a blind Jayce. That is a statement from Ssumday. He says, all right, give me your best counterpick. He's not playing anything safe. This is,
Chad pick in the top lane.
This is
blind
going down the gauntlet.
Jayce. It does not get any more duel than that.
Yeah.
This is you challenging your opponent, saying, all right, what do you got? Here's what we're going to play.
And if Lourlo just locks Ornn, he's like, all right, I guess you win. You know, it's kind of giving up your counter pick, right? It's not that it can't be a strong pick. Poppy, I think, can fight more evenly against the Jayce, and Poppy, you know, being able to kind of interrupt the hammer form jump, has some power there. You know, with gank assistance, I think that Poppy plus Gragas certainly have the potential to take down Jayce. In that 1v1, it will be tough for Poppy early on, but if Poppy can get some help with ganks, if Poppy can survive, you get to a certain level of tankiness where all of a sudden you don't care about what that Jayce is doing and you can run him down. So this is certainly one of those matchups that the tank can start to take over.
Lourlo does also enjoy the fact that he's playing in the NA LCS, which means he's up against NA Jayce, which has a debuff compared to most other Jayces. So that is one thing that could go the way of Golden Guardians. Ssumday, though, like you said, this guy has put up some heroic performances for 100 Thieves so far this split. He's been the guy who's held the Nexus before. He's been the guy who's had these amazing numbers in terms of even his economy and farming up when he wasn't the recipient of a funnel. So if there is somebody who can break the memes and defeat NA Jayce by becoming true Jayce, I would have to say it's Ssumday.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. This guy has had, you know, coming into this week, ridiculous forward percentages. You know, he's spending almost half his time across on the other side of the map. You know, not neutral, not on his side, very aggressively. He had 10 solo kills coming into this week, which is just an absurd amount, and, you know, obviously a tremendous amount of confidence going into this matchup here as well, blind picking the Jayce. It's more of what the guys were talking about on the desk, all in on that split push.
But if you look at the side, honestly, if we look at both sides, we've got some serious engage potential here. You've got a Rakan along with the Sejuani on the side of 100 Thieves. That's plenty of ability to pull the trigger and go for something big. Sleepy Trouble Bubble on Ryu can also set those up, provide a lot of pick potential. But on the other side, too, you've got the Gragas barrel. You've got the ability to find something with a Shockwave or a Chains of Corruption, and Poppy can obviously find the slams under the walls here, too. So I like the amount of playmaking potential. It shows me that both these teams can easily put themselves in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think that, you know, there is good engage on her Thieves side, and as you said on Golden Guardians, I mean, they have a lot of kind of AoE combos that they can pull off, a lot of engage and teamfight ultimates. You know, the Poppy ultimate, too, one of the changes a while back with the Snapcast, you are targetable during that Snapcast, so you can actually Snapcast, knock someone up, and shockwave them directly out of that, which is very hard to deal with at times. That's one of the kind of powerful things that they can use to set up their own fights.
All right, now that we've got ourselves through the draft, let's go ahead and toss things over to Avali and Prawley for a sideline report.
Thanks, guys. Prawley, we saw Ssumday locking in that Jayce. Tell me about the decision-making behind it and what we should expect.
Ssumday's a pretty good player, and I think he's shown he can play carries really well. And I really expected GGS to call us on that and play a carry top matchup, but I think they chickened out and played Poppy. So I think good luck to top lane, and let's see what happens up there.
Tell me more specifically about how Jayce is going to play into this team comp.
Theirs didn't have enough like really easy engage for us, so I think we could get away with playing a splitter. And this is just a champion that Ssumday's really good at too. So it just all the stars aligned.
And a lot of people are putting focus on Mickey and Deftly in bot lane. Are you worried about those carries at all?
Oh no, they gave us Rakan, so like bot lane's going to be really good. Top lane's going to be good. I think we got too many picks that we liked.
Glad you're sounding confident. Back to the casters.
Just the right mix of confidence and spice coming out from Prawley there, having a lot of faith in his team and their draft. The delay on stage was due to a spill on the side of Golden Guardians, but it looks like we got everything cleaned up and ready to go, and we are hopping into Summoner's Rift for the 4th time today to see which of these two teams will emerge victorious. Will Prawley be proved correct, or do the Golden Guardians have the answer?
Yeah, Prawley sounded very, very confident there, and seen a lot of corrupting potions. Just quickly kind of going to talk a little bit about that, and it's just a lot about the interaction between Time Warp Tonic and corrupting potion to just give you a tremendous amount of actual sustain and kind of helping you with those trades when the corrupting potion is active. So pretty strong setup, and we're seeing it more and more. We saw it yesterday on some of the Varuses playing that. Not going to be here, but both Ryu and Ssumday are going to be running that setup for 100 Thieves, and
Lourlo has corrupting, but no time warp tonic. Just opting instead for the area along with the backup defense as a result.
Yeah, and some people may be surprised to see the area. You know, traditionally you had seen a lot of grasp on Poppy, but area is something I'd been seeing pop up a lot more in solo queue, even some area ignite Poppies playing the lanes very aggressively. You can proc your area just by throwing your passive shield and kind of consistently use it for this harass. And if the Jayce is stepping forward for trades, you have to remember that not only are your range minions going to retaliate, now the Poppy can look to try to throw that passive out, proc Airy, you know, and try to whittle you down, poke you out. And that's one of the reasons that Ssumday is going for such a high sustain build, even in a lane that he should be dominating, because he knows he's going to be taking return damage. He is going to be taking those minion aggro and wants to be able to stay healthy and keep his push up.
We'll definitely be keeping eyes on that Jayce throughout this game. When you make a pick like that, you've got to make sure it's being watched, because it can run away with the game, or it can turn into a big oversized caster minion with a hammer. Yeah. We don't know, but we will find out as this game plays out. Taking a look at mid lane, Mickey versus Ryu here. Zoe versus Orianna. Zoe, a champion that's been in the meta for a long time now, incredibly powerful with the pick potential. And Ori, one of those that's come back more recently as just one of those picks that everybody's saying, oh wait, Ori goes with pretty much everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so safe. You know, you can blind pick it against basically everything. Has strong wave clear. It's team fighting. Once you have a couple items, incredibly powerful. You know, it really is just a strong all-around champion. It's kind of, to me, similar to like how Corki was when Corki was in the meta, where people just like, well, this is going to be fine no matter what they play. So Mickey will be playing it, and you know, I think a lot of the game really can come down to how this top lane goes. You know, probably said they expected a carry versus carry. Lourlo kind of chickened out. He is going for the tank, but it's one of those situations where Jayce is not like a hyper-scaling split pusher like a Fiora, where you just have to wait and then you win. It's a split pusher, but you have to win early and get advantages and create those edges that you can continue to push, or you will fall off. You will be outscaled.
Anda's hanging around this top side here, but I think trying to attempt to dive this early on into the game against a Poppy is so risky.
Yeah, and I think he was just looking to actually take away the Krugs. He was not expecting Contractz to have taken that down. And this also gives him a little bit of coverage to say, all right, Ssumday, you're safe to push up. You are safe to harass this guy under turret and try to create an advantage for yourself.
Ssumday does feel that safety now with his jungler on the top part of the map. Means he can just set up shop underneath that turret, stay right behind the minion line, provide that poke consistently and constantly. As 100 Thieves bottom lane will back up underneath their turret. Contractz decides to move into the enemy jungle himself. He's also maybe looking for a set of Krugs here, but he will find these.
Yeah, because again, you know, it's Lourlo is just trying to survive, where somebody's trying to expand that advantage. He does not want to just trade farm. He does not want to just go even easy, pressuring
not
the
the
turret.
point of Jayce.
Exactly. You have to be pressuring turret. You have to be pressuring this guy's health bar non-stop. And so far, doing a pretty good job of it. You can see he also went for biscuits, so really heavy in the sustain. Lourlo will have a tough time whittling this guy down. You're not going to get him down just by hitting your passive shield on him and proccing area. He has way too much sustain for that.
Lourlo did decide to go back rather early as soon as he had the gold for the Dorian shield to pick that one up. Nice interrupt there from Anda. Making sure Contractz doesn't get the back timing he was looking for. Stun coming out there as well. aphromoo not getting the knock-up means Contractz isn't in any real danger. Can just body slam over there.
Yeah, Contractz does go a little bit ahead in the farm, though, because not only did he full clear his own side, he stole away the Krugs from his opponent, because Anda stopped, you know, to not do with the Krugs. He wanted to go up top and kind of was anticipating the Contractz would leave his up, that there would be a trade. Instead, Contractz varies up that jungle path. He's going to go up a camp and, as a result, be up some experience.
Yeah, he's got his whole bottom side still left to clear, so despite being taken a little bit low there by Anda, not too worried about it as Ssumday makes his TP back into the top side. Two more long swords under his belt means the damage will just continue pouring into Lourlo here.
Yeah.
As Ssumday is going to make sure his opponent is very familiar with the scenery underneath this turret.
Yeah, and I mean, Lourlo doesn't have his TP, right? So every chunk now matters so much more. If you get pushed in, if you lose that turret early on, it's going to be tough against this Jayce. And Lourlo trying to invest heavily in that early game, grabbing an early door and shield, having the corrupting potion. He's just trying to do his very best to just withstand the lane, trying to survive and get to that point with tabbies, with enough armor that he can really start to do something about it. Maybe now calling Contractz up to try to look to punish this Jayce who is so shoved in.
You can still see Anda on that top side of the map, though. With Scuttle Crab spawning in the top river, you have to be pretty aware that both junglers will know that's going to be there. They will want to prioritize this side to begin with just for that. And to sees Contractz at the chicken camp. We could have ourselves a good old-fashioned smite fight over the big chicken here. There comes your whip. Big chicken still at a decent amount of HP. Who got that?
Contractz got it.
Contractz got it.
He got most of the camp, so well done there by Contractz. Zoe was actually collapsing first. Mickey's under his turret, but Contractz, calm play, good smite, takes away the camp, and you know, heading, he did kind of a little bit of a more tricky path, tried to wrap around and head back towards top. Not sure if that actual ward by the chickens did catch him or not, but either way, he's still up here on the top side of the map. So is Anda, who's taking that scuttle, so potential for 2v2, even a 3v2, as you can see Ryu roaming up as well. They want to get a dive, they want to actually kill off this Poppy, but now they know Contractz is here.
Poppy ult finds its way onto Ssumday's Jayce. However, the Sleepy Trouble Bubble does connect onto Contractz. Damage coming through with the paddle star here. TP going to be used from the side of Golden Guardians. Looking to shut this one down. 100 Thieves still looking to find the damage first. Ssumday's going to be targeted down now by the turret. Lourlo trying to escape. 100 Thieves look to find the damage, and they have it. Here. Attacks coming through. Mickey wants to find the damage onto these guys. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't hit the mark. Mickey wants to provide that extra little bit of burst. They will do it. The kill goes over to Matt. They wanted to donate that to Mickey, but they'll still take the even trade there, as now the 80 carries are going into the 1 versus 1 bottom side. Oh. Piercing arrow comes out. Nice sidestep there from Cody Sun.
Yeah, that was a big sidestep there from Cody Sun. Would have taken a ton of damage with some of those blight stacks already up on him. Already fairly low as well, but yeah, it is that 2v2 trade. I feel like Contractz played that a little bit too aggressively. The body slam forward here, when you know it's a 3v2 now, you know, why go forward in on your opponent? Why not kind of just step back and try to play that a little bit more passively? Buy more time for Ryu to come up, and you know, instead, they do have Braum TPing in. It is that first kill that goes for Ssumday over onto Contractz. Lourlo doing a good job to survive as long as possible, gets a trade kill, buys some time for Mickey to finally have walked all the way up here, and that's sleep. That was getting close.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if that's some spaghetti or linguine or what, but that looked like it was right on top of him.
There is a thing where it's, I believe the Z axis doesn't really show in the spectator because it's like essentially like, the spectator is not directly ahead, like overhead, you know what I mean?
Right, where the camera's at an angle.
Exactly, the camera's at an angle, so sometimes those skill shots that do miss can look like they should hit in some weird circumstances. Either way, Contractz back up here to the top side, does have his ultimate available.
This is the important insight that I get from somebody who used to be on the playtest team. I didn't know these kind of things. I didn't know about the Z-axis. You learn something new every day. As Ryu is about to try to make something happen at the mid lane, but topside is Ssumday who's in some trouble. Contractz moves in and makes sure he provides some relief for Lourlo.
Yeah, they get that kill. That's going to be a big one. No TP available for Ssumday, so he's going to miss out on these minion waves. It means Lourlo is going to kind of close the gap in the farm. Lourlo getting closer to that tanky state that he needs to be at, has the tabbies now, and again, Ssumday needs those advantages early. He needs to be pressuring turrets for this pick to really pay off.
With the ultimate down on the Contractz there, but I mean, not really a lot of opportunity to make something happen.
Yeah, it was a well-timed body slam, I felt like. You know, that really kind of created a lot more space between him and Ryu. You know, had he maybe not got that body slam off, maybe Ryu can catch up, maybe he can get a follow-up there. Either way, Contractz is going to get away easy peasy. Still has the ultimate in the bag for any potential body slam ultimate play that he could look for.
Ryu does have both summoner spells down as well. You saw him drop an Ignite onto Mickey during that river scuffle, but it wasn't fake Ignite. It was one from Zoe W. So both those summoner spells down on Ryu means he is vulnerable. Because remember, as much as we talk about the strengths of Zoe, one of the weaknesses of the champion is you don't have true mobility. Yeah. You have the ultimate, which jumps you forward, but then you are put back into the spot that you originated from. So if you can get that Gragas onto that enemy mid laner, provide the supplementary damage with Mickey, there is potential.
Yeah, exactly. If Gragas forces out an ultimate, you set the ball on top of where the ultimate's going to come back to. But here is a potential 2v2 on the top side. Contractz getting low.
Very, very low. Nice interrupt there. Ssumday will not be able to complete the jump through the skies, but he still got the damage with the auto attacks. They make sure they give that one over to him. So the gold keeps on coming in. Nice turnaround there from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and a really well-timed counter gank there. Being up on the top side, you can't allow Ssumday to just be getting picked on like this. So he comes in, they turn that fight around, and again, a kill goes on to Ssumday. They're allowing him to have that pressure. So very important little swing there. 400 Thieves.
The bottom side, it's going to be a full-on 2v2. aphromoo and Cody Sun just decide to disengage this one. Matt is low on mana, but Cody can stay the same. And without the ultimate to rely on anymore after having to use it to disengage that, they're saying, nope, we're going home.
Yeah, and now you're seeing Lourlo have to kind of just back off the turret. He doesn't know if the Sejuani is just waiting to dive him, right? So he's kind of backing up a little bit. He's trying to play it safe. His turret is getting very low as a result. And it is trying to take this Rift Herald, and Pretty darn low doing it. We should be able to knock it down here. Will he die, though? He might.
Ooh, Mickey's close.
Close.
Hand up. Nope. No way out of that one. Mickey picks up the free 300 gold. Double bubble comes out.
Yeah,
But Ryu won't even be able to get close enough to give the paddle star.
You know, and that gives up his life, but at least he did trade kind of for that Rift Herald. So he grabs the Rift Herald for himself, and we're going to have to find out, can he make that Rift Herald pay off, right? Is that worth giving up your life? And we'll find out if he's going to be able to do it later on. Either way, so far the bottom lane going fairly even. You know, we heard Prawley talk about the fact that, hey, bottom lane has Xayah Rakan. They gave us too many things that we like. This is going to be very comfortable down there on the bot side. But despite that, Matt is the one who TP'd top lane with the spellbook. Matt is the one who got a kill elsewhere on the map. And they're still up a little bit in farm. So this lane is doing quite well for the Golden Guardians on the bottom side of the map. And all things considered, the fact that they're up gold and Lourlo is not, you know, devastatingly behind to this Jayce, their early game has gone pretty well.
See how that transitions now into the mid game, as we will see more large fights, better skirmishes, as the catch could potentially find its way now onto Contractz, who's completely exploded by the power of 100 Thieves. Drowsy makes its way over onto Mickey, who has to use the cleanse to get away from that one, as 100 Thieves will take the 1-for-0.
Yeah, Ssumday cancels his TP, and Lourlo completes it. So Ssumday now just gets that turret top lane, and is going to be able to get a solo first turret here. A lot of gold going to be in his pockets. He already has the Blade of the Rune King. That is very big for him. And at the same time, they're going to take mid lane turret. That's such a big swing.
Yeah, that's a huge swing for 100 Thieves. In a game that was 100 gold apart, it's now 2,000 gold apart, thanks to one pick, one botch teleport, and Golden Guardians now find themselves in not nearly as good of a position.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, but you also have TP advantage now, because Ssumday cancels his TP, so that's going to be up a lot faster, and they're going to have that edge for themselves too. It makes it harder for Golden Guardians to even try to make a play elsewhere on the map, knowing Jayce could join more quickly than Lourlo can on this Poppy. And here it is one more time. They're trying to kind of bail out Contractz, but Contractz is probably already dead to rights. So maybe Golden Guardians should just accept that death and not join in the play. Unfortunately for them, the TP came in. 100 Thieves easily disengages.
Meanwhile, Mickey finds himself in the grave yet again. We'll have to see how that ended up playing out, as the Infernal Drake did go over to Golden Guardians, so they'll pick that objective up at the cost of their mid laner.
Yeah, and that's a good trade. I think that if you can grab the Infernal for one death and you can keep your turrets alive in the meantime, you're going to be pretty happy about that. 100 Thieves, 3 men down here on the bottom side, trying to threaten that turret, though.
Also 3-man defense with the side of Golden Guardians. It will not be easy to force this turret down. We'll see maybe if that changes as Ryu makes his way over. Does have the Chilling Smite ready to go from the W.
Yeah, they're actually trying to send 5-man bot. You can see Poppy's running down here instead of going back top. Orianna's coming as well. Golden Guardians want to make a play here, but they're getting kind of poked out under this turret.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble doesn't find anybody just yet. Ryu flashes over the wall. Real flash. Aphromoo gets himself away with the dash as well, and Golden Guardians cannot collapse in time.
Not too bad, though. Lourlo kind of roaming down, does get the flash, and still has some time, so he shouldn't miss too much of that farm up on the top side. Here is Mickey, though, in the mid lane. And it's just straight up coming from behind him. Nice Q flash there. Drowsy to follow it up, and just gets exploded. Doesn't have any of his summoners available, so nothing he can really do there. And now the dive on the bottom side.
Cody Sun. Oh! Nice shot from Deftly, making sure they shut him down there. As Anda
Still in turret.
tries to get away. Takes a few more shots on the way out. Good punish there from Golden Guardians.
Yeah, well handled. I mean, the 2v2 comes into a 3v2 as Anda shows up, but definitely able to survive long enough. Trades that kill back. Well done by him. And Mickey again getting pressured here in the mid lane. It really does feel like it's 100 Thieves that are kind of dictating the pace of the game. They are the ones on the offensive, but they are also the ones that have more of a need to be on the offensive with this Jason.
All right, let's take Acer Predator replay, take another look at exactly how this backfired on the Thieves.
Yeah, nice engage immediately there from aphromoo, but Matt already had his stand behind me up. He is blocking so much there, and we're going to jump out of that as some action brewing here on the bottom side.
It never stops.
It never stops. Golden Guardians trying to threaten a dive, but it looks like much ado about nothing as Cody Sun will back off.
All right, Golden Guardians. I like the fact that they're not brute forcing it, though. The fact that they had those errors yesterday in the game against TSM shows that they likely went back. They looked at that. They said, okay, we gave too much. This wasn't TSM taking things because they were in control. This was us getting a little bit too itchy to make something happen and just forcing it in the wrong time.
Yeah, and they know all too well that how a game can look when you draft kind of a narrow win condition, such as the AD cannon that they had yesterday, or maybe that Jayce that Ssumday has today, and you don't actually make good on that, right? You don't actually get a big enough lead. You know, Lourlo is hoping that he can be on the opposite side of that. He can neutralize it. He can kind of hold out to the point where the Jayce is just going to be worth less than him, and that's kind of what Golden Guardians is shooting for.
And I think that's interesting considering the consequence of yesterday's game when Lourlo was on the cannon and fell drastically far behind and felt like there's nothing that he's able to add or contribute to the team. Instead now, he's opting just completely away from that situation, saying, I'm playing the opposite of what happened yesterday. We're not falling into the same trap. Even if it does go bad, I want to make sure that it goes bad in a way where I feel like I have something to contribute here.
Yeah, Poppy still has a tremendous amount of playmaking, right? You know, Poppy down 40 CS is not an ideal situation. Ssumday is playing this well, and I would certainly say he is in control of his own destiny at this point. He has enough of a lead. The fact that he knocked down that turret, the fact that he has had pressure means that they are still dictating the pace. But that being said, if there's ever those missteps, if you ever get those kills over onto, and Lourlo starts to really kind of catch up or surpass him in itemization, you just stop hurting the Poppy at a certain point. He just gets way too tanky, and he can wave clear endlessly. He's going to have more impact in team fights, more ability to TP and join.
It just becomes the end-game Poppy that has 2 or 3 armor items with a Warmogs, and there's no way to 100-0 him, and unless you 100-0 him, you can't kill him. So you're stuck in that eternal stalemate, and that's what Ssumday will work his damnedest to avoid. As the bottom side, it's Golden Guardians still defending this turret, holding on for dear life. He's got only a little bit of health left there. The last one standing in that outer ring for the side of Golden Guardians. They still have yet to take any turrets down of their own, and that's where this gold lead for 100 Thieves is coming from right now, is that objective control.
It really is, and it's going to kind of take some playmaking from them. It's going to take some great engages that get those fight wins. They can turn them into those turrets.
Here we go. Aphromoo dash.
Nice ult.
They save. Contractz wants to try to keep him around, but the quickness will get Aphromoo on out.
Aphromoo definitely has his Nikes on there. He's speeding out of there.
Gotta go fast.
Ridiculously fast.
Ssumday continues to push in the top side, though. Lourlo's just sort of watching this fall. There's not much else you can do.
Yeah, I mean, your jungler's on bottom side of the map. You know that Anda's on the top side of the map. You have to just sit back and try to give up the minimum. So he has to sacrifice the turret. Mickey being threatened here as well. And it's, again, it's kind of putting that faith in your team to make good elsewhere on the map. And for now, they didn't get too much out of Afro, just his ultimate down. So we'll see if they can make payoff later.
Oh, Contractz recognizing he had to flash away from that one. Long-range Paddle Star could have easily taken him down there. This is more of the offensive style of Gragas. Runic Echoes, not a Cinder Hulk. Much easier for Zoe to find that huge burst onto.
It definitely is, but with those W changes, you get damage reduction from how much KP you have, so that can be pretty strong, and I've seen a lot more of these kind of tanky AP style builds where it's like Runic Echoes, Zhonya's, these sorts of things. Sometimes you can see that mixed up or just going into full tank. Yesterday, I believe we saw Dardoch going for a Knight's Vow, then back into the Zhonya's. So there's lots of options here. It is much more exciting playstyle, I think, though, to watch Gragas. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you can put out some serious burst. If you pull off that perfect combo on a squishy target, like the Zoe, who has no HP built, no mana to this build, you can...
Hey, come on, he's got HP. Oblivion Orb gives you like 200. There's a little bit of HP in there. Okay. You got to give me the QSS and the MR last game. I get to give you the Oblivion Orb as health this game. We're even now.
We're both technically correct.
Yeah, we're technically correct. Freak's ideal version of
correct. That's what I was going to say, exactly.
The Drake does go over to the side of 100 Thieves. Ocean Drake for them means a little extra regeneration between these rotations, making plays happen. Of course, I think you'd like to see an Infernal compared to that. Golden Guardian's still happy with their current state of the Drake comparison, but 100 Thieves making sure that they don't just allow Golden Guardians to monopolize that means they're limiting those potential late-game win conditions. With the Elder that, honestly, Xayah, we've seen more and more games go to that point recently.
Yeah, I mean, when you opt into split push, the game is usually slow to close out, right? You have to kind of grind them out, take those turrets, get those objectives, and that means that Elder and Baron becomes that much more important. Golden Guardians potentially looking for a play here, but we are seeing Ssumday build as much anti-tank as possible, right? He goes Blade of the Rune King, percentage HP damage. He goes for the Armor Shred here from that Black Cleaver, and now he's building into Last Whisper, likely Lord Dominic's. Again, more damage against higher HP targets, and that Armor Shred as well. He's trying to make sure that Lourlo cannot outpace him too quickly. And if he can stay, a step ahead as far as those itemizations go,
Ooh, aphromoo, again, going to be taken low there. And that's the power of the Runic Echo's Gragas that you were talking about. That's just Contractz that took aphromoo down that low.
Yeah, I mean, that's Thunderlord's proc, the Luden's Echo proc, and his full combo. And you certainly can get someone very, very low. And then when you think, okay, Mickey is on a couple items a little bit later into the game, and a Shockwave follows that up, well, that's just someone dead. So the initiation certainly very scary there, but 100 Thieves have great ways to pull the trigger too, with Sejuani, with Rakan. They can also look to be proactive, and Ssumday is very far ahead of Lourlo. Obviously, part of that is because of the pressure that has been put on Lourlo, but he is down 60 CS. He is down quite a lot of gold here, about 2,500 gold at the moment because of those turrets that he has grabbed. So Ssumday in a good position, still in control, and 100 Thieves are looking to kind of get vision around that Barret and perhaps establish another advantage there.
And speaking of vision, I like the fact that even though Contractz knows he's not going to be in a spot to really catch and punish Ssumday, he's clearing some of the vision out of their own jungle where there were a couple wards from the side of 100 Thieves. He's saying, okay, if nothing else, I want Ssumday to recognize the fact that we could be collapsing on him, right? As long as you don't allow your opponents to set up that vision properly for the split push, there's always the chance that you're going to be there, and they have to respect.
Yeah, exactly. So then if somebody wants to play with respect, he basically can't just push up and just be autoing that turret until he has seen where everyone else is on the map. Because while he can definitely bully Lourlo in the 1v1, if a second member shows up and he gets comboed, he is going to go down. So now that they have kind of spotted more members, they saw that Gragas was over there by the chickens, he's going to feel a little bit more confident. But again, you're seeing him play, less without impunity, as we saw him on the top side when he knew the jungle wasn't around. He's always under the turret.
See, Lourlo's health bar just doesn't get to have much fun against a Jayce like that. As soon as he's within range, it's going to be auto. As Mickey will evade the Sleepy Trouble Bubble for now. 4 members of 100 Thieves pushing up here into the mid lane. It's aphromoo deciding to go in with the quickness. Contractz in the back line, still not able to find anything just yet. Will not go forward, hangs out in the back, waiting for his opportunity to maybe punish if the Thieves go too deep. Mickey will be slept up, but he gets blocked out now as Anda's off to the side, will be interrupted there. Nice steadfast presence from Lourlo, looking to maybe interrupt that one as Ryu finds a little bit more damage on the back end of the fight here too. Meanwhile, it's Ssumday, bottom side, tier 2 turret. You leave this alone, it is gone.
Yep, knocks it down. Lourlo tries to make the roam, tries to make the play. Flash stun over the wall onto Anda, but a very tanky member. They don't have the burst there to follow it up and knock him down, and Ssumday's like, all right, well, you can go do that. I'm just going to auto this turret. So he gets down another tier 2, extending that gold lead, and another advantage going the way of 100 Thieves. They almost knocked down that mid lane tier 2 as well.
Golden Guardians is a team, Xayah, that we've seen success from in the early game. And last week, despite early game successes in both of their games, they went 0-2 because they weren't able to properly translate those in the mid and late game. And when you have mid and late game calling difficulties, when you don't make the right decisions at the right times, that's that much more stressful against a split push like this, because every wrong decision is strictly a loss that you are taking.
Exactly. Every time, as long as 100 Thieves are pressuring in the mid lane, when Ssumday has pressure in the side lane, hey, you go to answer, you try to create that team fight. Even if you win that team fight, Ssumday should get something, right? There's always that cost. It's every move you're going to make. And that's really something that you have to weigh. And it can make it very tough to play against split push. You have to be extremely decisive because you're left with one of two options. You try to collapse and kill the split pusher that you're assuming is inevitably going to take your turrets, or you try to go 5v4 and engage hard on the rest of the squad and knock them down. And if you kind of botch on either side, the other squad will then get an advantage because you don't have enough members left to stop them.
Lord Dominic's regards completed on the side of 100 Thieves as well for the Jayce, exactly as you predicted. He's not really too concerned about stopping the healing. Any healing Poppy gets is likely going to be from a Warmog later on out of combat anyway, so the extra armor penetration will make sure that he's able to stay relevant as Mickey gets bonked a little bit there, but he does have Banshee's Veil. I like the fact that he went for some more magic resistance here. The extra 60 magic resist from that will help in stopping this heavy penetration build from Ryu, just deleting him every time he finds the combo. And there's your attempt at the collapse into the bottom lane. They will get Ssumday's flash, which is something, but they sadly, for Golden Guardians, will not find any sort of a kill.
And the question becomes, can 100 Thieves pressure elsewhere? And for now, not.
It's actually 100 Thieves getting pressured here in the mid lane until aphromoo looks to turn it all around. The damage comes through, and Contract's going to be taken down immediately. Matt's going to join him there right thereafter as the Drowsy comes through, finds its way onto Deftly. Anda trying to hobble his way out of this one. Ryu is incredibly low HP. Hard to contribute. Still might be able to throw in a Paddle Star here or there, but Ssumday's decided this is a good enough situation that even Jayce can group with the team, will brute force down the mid lane tier 2 and take yet another objective. The turret count is 6-0.
Yeah, 6-0, and that is almost the entire gold lead there. They're up about 7K. And Mickey was really holding on to his shockwave. It felt like he was trying to wait for that perfect moment where he could get multiple members. Maybe it would have been better to just actually commit it and try to just focus down even Onda or one of the tanks, try to knock someone down for sure. Instead, he's waiting for that prime moment, not able to find it just yet here. You can see Anda knocked back towards that turret, taking quite a bit of damage. Mickey getting pushed out, definitely collapsing. Lourlo is flanking in here from the side and knocks out Ryu. That is a strange choice. I mean, Ryu was
maybe he
very
thought the damage
low.
would kill him?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. He probably didn't calculate in Ryu's heal, right, which Ryu did actually pop there. But in that case, hey, maybe you want to just try to go for the pop and just knock him straight up and then try to finish him off in that. Fortunately for Lourlo, either way, knocks Ryu to safety, and they're not able to convert on any of those kills.
Golden Guardians now find themselves down almost 7,000 gold in this game against 100 Thieves, who with the pickup of their second Ocean Drake are going to be that much harder to resist in this split push game. When your entire goal is just hang out, pressure from afar, let Jayce do his thing, the Ocean Drakes very much facilitate that in terms of putting even more pressure on the Golden Guardians to be decisive, like you already said.
Exactly.
I think that's the perfect way of describing how to fight against this. The decision-making just has to be there. Everyone's got to be on the same page, and if they're not, your Nexus blows up.
Yep, and they will slowly just regen up any mana that they spend. That's going to help Jayce with poke. That's going to help Zoe with poke. You know, Jayce is not a tier Jayce, right? Without Ocean Dragons, you actually can run out of mana. Corruption, Potion, and Time War Tonic or not. So this is really going to help him out in that regard. That helps him stay out on the map constantly, continue to pressure forward, and 100 Thieves are trying to pressure around the Baron now as well.
Also worth pointing out, QSS, the fourth pickup for Ssumday's Jayce, wants to make sure that if he does get collapsed on as this game gets later and later in,
This is coming.
he will not be punished, but he wants to rotate over to this fight. Golden Guardians backing themselves up for now. Lourlo's still on the bottom side, does have the TP available. Trouble Bubble finds its way down onto Matt, who's going to go ahead and throw up the shield, make sure the Paddle Star doesn't follow that one.
And this isn't like a full lethality, full poke style Jayce, but if he hits a Shock Blast over the wall in one of your squishy characters, they are still going to be very heavily chunked out. That in combination with Ryu is one of the ways that they can kind of get an edge before a fully committed team fight, especially in that late game. You're going to be looking to see a lot of that, and Ssumday's trying to look for this poke over the wall, trying to find ways that could then prompt the all-in, right? You don't want to just go into a straight-up 5v5 from full, but hey, you hit a couple of Zoe Paddle Stars, you hit a couple Shock Blasts, maybe aphromoo pulls the trigger, and you find that fight.
And talking about the difference of the way Ssumday's playing things now, it's worth pointing out that with 6 turrets down on the side of Golden Guardians, 100 Thieves are now tasked with breaking into the base itself, which is significantly harder than just taking out the turrets standing outside of it. Typically, you don't see teams make a lot of progress towards this without Baron up. So Ssumday's options are becoming a bit more limited just because of how far ahead they are. It's a first world problem.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's one of those situations, though. We're seeing Lourlo trying to just kind of run down Ssumday, but you can see he's starting to be able to fight back a little bit, right? He's getting close to that Iceborne, and you know, that is a very nice item for the 1v1. He's only 1 level down. You know, he is kind of starting to stabilize. We're not seeing the CS advantage get too much more big, but here they go.
Nice from Contractz there, looking to catch out Ryu. It's not going to be enough, though, as now the counterattack from the Thieves comes in. Contractz taken down as the Chain CC finds its way onto Matt. It's a 2-for-0 going the way of 100 Thieves. Ssumday's still bottom lane as well. Deftly and Lourlo want to rotate over, potentially stop him, but they won't be fast enough.
Yeah, this could be the straw that broke the camel's back. Golden Guardians try to go for that play there, try to commit and get a pick onto Ryu, but Ryu has a nice flash on the follow-up Varus ultimate, then picks up another flash, I believe, to be able to actually get out of there even more. It's 100 Thieves on the Baron. Ssumday never even had to join, and they have taken full control over this game.
Right when I said, a lot of times you need Baron to take the base. It looks like 100 Thieves
Flowers.
have found themselves exactly what they were looking for. 9,000 gold up along with it. Big item purchases coming in. Let's take another look at how this happened.
Yeah, I mean, they feel like they have a good setup here. Contractz with a nice initial engage, body slam flash, ults him back in, but flashes onto the additional flash, dodging the Varus ultimate, allowing himself to create more space, and as that Zhonya ends, not only does Contractz go down, Matt goes down as well, and that was in the 5v4 because Ssumday did not even join. So Golden Guardians losing out on both sides, 9,000 gold down, Baron buff added in. Gets so hard for Poppy to even try to wave clear against this Jayce now.
Turns out, Flash is a good ability. 2 flashes, twice as good.
Maybe even more than twice as good.
I mean, when it makes a play like that, when it gets you the Baron and a couple of kills, I don't even know how high the multiplier goes, but it is damn good for 100 Thieves, who now are pushing up further into enemy territory, laying down the vision, setting up the pick potential. All they need is an aphromoo, an Anda, or a Ryu setup, and they can immediately decide to go in for a fight.
As you can see, aphromoo and Cody Sun pushing up on the top side of the map, trying to play this slow, grind them out game. Ssumday in bot lane, triple lanes of Baron minions. They're buffing up all these minions, making it so there's just not enough wave clear in the kit of Golden Guardians to really answer this, and the turrets are going to start to fall. This is the first inhibitor turret getting knocked down. Golden Guardians have to engage somewhere, but where do you find it? 100 Thieves will just back up wherever you attack and try to push elsewhere.
Lourlo still in some trouble here against Ssumday. He's trying to walk up. He's trying to be heroic and make a stand, but it's so hard to do when you're this far behind. Golden Guardians will look to defend 3 different points, but they'll lose 1 in the top side. They're about to lose the 2nd in the bottom lane. The 3rd in mid under pressure. That final inhibitor turret will fall here. Bottom side inhibitor. They'll leave the cannon minion to do it. Ssumday walks up and grabs the last hit on that. It's 1 lane left. Golden Guardians still trying to hold on here. aphromoo pops the quickness just to zone everyone away, make them back up. Golden Guardians now looking to go in. Nice dodge away with the ulti there from Cody Sun. Ryu also backing himself out into the back line. Ssumday on the flank. It's Contractz already dead as 100 Thieves find 1, and they'll continue to push straight into the Nexus turrets.
100 Thieves just completely choking them out with this Baron. It looks like this is going to be it, Flowers.
I want to go back to what Avali and Prawley talked about, because Prawley was confident that this would work out. He was confident in the Jayce, in the team as a whole, and in their draft, and it has worked out wonderfully so far. 13,000 gold off. 1 Nexus turret left standing for their opponents. They'll knock that one down here in just a moment. Golden Guardian still 4 versus 5 for the next 15 seconds. Lourlo on the front line, going to be taken very low, has to flash away, but it's only back to the fountain to watch the Nexus fall, and 100 Thieves will take the win.
Such a well-played game here from 100 Thieves, really just enabling Ssumday on this Jayce 2 split push. I think Anda had a fantastic early game, really being up there to counter gank a couple times, being up there to kind of get him some advantages, to put him ahead in the early stages, and then Golden Guardians was never able to find that engage that would work out for them, to crush the split push on the side lane or to find that 5v4. Every time they tried to go for it, 100 Thieves was either able to win out or disengage, and the push would continue from Ssumday. And 100 Thieves play it patient, they play it smart, and they grind out another win.
Prawley's words were, they gave us too many champions we wanted, too many picks we wanted, something along those lines. And you could tell this was a comp this team felt comfortable with. The ability to avoid getting engaged on. Ryu in the mid lane, when it looked like Contractz had found such a good engage onto him, going for the flash so he could make sure he had both of them to outplay that, set up the counterattack, and make it so his team could then get Baron was also huge. Every single member of the Thieves played this one well.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, Ryu quietly had a fantastic game, so much damage, so much poke, always creating presence around that mid lane, buying time for Ssumday.
100 Thieves as a whole worked together. They made it happen. They found their win. And to break down that match, let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. First off, we got to welcome Darshan to the desk to help us work through this one. And because there was a lot of top lane focus, again, very topical and grateful that we have a top laner on the desk. But this was a peculiar game because it almost felt like the teams traded places in terms of the game plans that they laid out for themselves and how they approached attacking this game.
Yeah, I think in a sense, we are used to 100 Thieves drawing the game out to late game, playing a really good mid-priority pressure game and kind of getting Baron and picks. And they did need to play a little bit more up-tempo here. So if they did get to super late game with even gold, it might not work super well.
GP is a Gragas, just in case anyone is confused at that jungle GP pick. That is not actually that champion.
I didn't even notice that.
But the late game mark.
Right? The late game jungle GP. But yeah, to your point, I actually agree that, like, while it's not uncommon to see Ssumday on a counter pick, it's usually one that's still going to function pretty well in team fights, whereas this is a distinctly 4-1 comp that the other team probably outscales.
Yeah, typically they try and go for like the Mundo, they try and scale more, but this time they went for the more aggressive Jayce. And then you saw Lourlo go with the Poppy, which I think can do well into the Jayce, but when you have a Poppy and a jungle Gragas and you have 2 tanks, that's not going to really be the best thing to take down the Jayce. And if Jayce just gets to get his advantage and keep scaling and have the pressure in the side lane, there's not much they can do.
I got a question. Do you think there's a pick that is like an actual counter pick to Jayce, or is Jayce just the lane priority god?
Jayce, like first 3 levels, he doesn't really lose to any champion, but you can go champions like Camille, you can go champions like Aurelia and stuff like that, and you can end up winning like level 4, level 5. But I think first 3 levels, Jayce is pretty unmatched.
Yeah, I remember probably in the post-game interview mentioned how like they were actually expecting Lourlo to call bluff and go aggressive. But then I also remember their game yesterday when they picked Kennen into Gnar and it didn't
go well.
So maybe this was like a fear pick of let's pick the really defensive option and take a little bit of a loss.
Absolutely. Another interesting thing here is just the idea that 100 Thieves is trying something new when they are sitting in solid position within the standings, playing the style that they had been playing up to this point. And so I think a lot of questions were immediately raised seeing this draft, which was how will they execute on it, right? Will they actually be able to, to pull through with this strategy? So I want to turn our attention to a multitude of turret dives that they attempted to pull off. Some good, some bad. Break it down for me.
Yeah, I mean, the Poppy plays this one pretty well by ejecting the Jayce out right away, and now Ryu's a little bit far forward, and they're still going in while Jayce is out of range of anything, so using some cooldowns already.
Yeah, I think 100 Thieves went for a lot of over-aggressive dives this game when they just needed the Jayce to like poke out, and so you'd see a lot of TPs coming in, and you see that a lot in this meta. Braum is top lane all of a sudden, 7 minutes into the game, and so now 100 Thieves end up trading 1 for 2, and then it's not the best play for them. So I think they still got the lead on Jayce, which matters the most, but I think they had a lot of dives, like this one coming up too, where they just overcommit way too hard.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where, like, if you're trying to blow the game open, these are the right place to go for. It's just...
But did you need to?
Yeah,
right?
well, one, to Darshan's point, you don't necessarily need to, and it's not what 100 Thieves is great at, so it does feel like a couple of them come up short.
Yeah. But I tell you one thing that 100 Thieves is great at, Jat, it is that mid to late macro game. And so when they do have a lead, all of a sudden that 1-3-1, 1-4 style sounds pretty good to me if I've got aphromoo at the helm shot calling.
Yeah, and it overall, even though they messed up some dives, they played the game really well. The 4 in their 4-1 was better than the 4 that Golden Guardians could throw up against them. That helps, but they're already really good at disengaging. So you would think that 100 Thieves should actually run this kind of stuff more often. They have the best performing top laner in the league this split, able to get his own advantages, and they have the best disengaging 4-man squad. And apparently Split Push is back, which is something I kind of want to talk about since it was gone like a month ago. But I think this is the type of composition 100 Thieves should be very comfortable with. They were just kind of pushing their comfort zone a little bit by trying to play more up-tempo.
Right, so Darshan, talk to me then about the difficulty of playing against a team that all of a sudden, or rather showcases that they have multiple strategic options available to them. Because I think a lot of times we talk about teams and we go, well, that's their play style. So if you understand how to counter that play style, you have the advantage in the matchup. 100 Thieves now has 2 play styles. So how would you as a team really, approach playing them in a best of 5, for example?
Yeah, I think it's really hard when teams can play multiple styles because when you look at the draft and you're scouting, you're like, oh, they typically look to draft this for top lane or like a carry for jungle. And then you're like, oh, they're probably going to draft that. And then all of a sudden, oh, no, it's a tank top or it's a carry top and a tank jungle. And then you weren't ready for that. And then it kind of throws your plans off of what you want to play into them. So if a team can draft multiple styles, it is really, really hard to play against and also prepare for. So I think like 100 Thieves going for like the Jayce and like having that early game pressure is pretty scary for going into playoffs. Is like, is Ssumday going to go for the Mundo, the safe pick, or is he going to go for the Jayce, the aggressive pick, and have that early pressure? And so when you don't really know what they're going to play, that just makes 100 Thieves even scarier.
Already the runner-up from spring, they're showcasing themselves as very much a threat moving into the postseason here in summer. But returning to your point, Jat, just about Split Push in general.
Right.
We asked a similar question to Santorin. Why is it all of a sudden so prevalent? Why are teams now lunging at this when at the beginning of the split, it almost seemed like an impossibility?
I do think that teams are getting better at understanding how to play around Split Push. I think like TP, with the TP channel being longer like over time and also Baron being harder to kill, top lane having priority is like a super, super like big advantage for your team once you get to mid game. I think if you see a lot of these games that are going on, the team that has the top laner winning the side lane has the advantage in mid game. So when you have Ssumday on the Jayce, you have the pressure on the towers, you have the advantage, and if they try and rush Baron, there goes your bot inhib, and you're seeing TSM so many times just losing to these top laners that have an advantage in the side lane, and then that's how these base races happen.
I think the TP length is really interesting because not only is it, okay, you burn your TP and now that's more time for the side lane split push to occur, but there's also more TPs in the game. And so do you think that factors into it all, where it's like if you have that side lane pressure, you can actually TP your AD carry and marksman in now to actually just end the game faster?
Yeah, I definitely think that also is like a huge factor. That was great for you pointing that out because I didn't even realize that. But like AD carry, support, everyone having teleport, it's so hard to force Baron. Say you kill 3 people, oh, they're coming up in 30 seconds. They're all going to TP to the Baron. It's so hard to force the Baron. So if you have the pressure in the side lane, you essentially have like the most control in the game.
Yeah, I have a bit of an alternate theory as well. Early on in the split, we're actually seeing a lot more mage bot lane, either whether it is in funnel or not. And I felt like those teams were better at like crushing you with the 20-minute advantage. Like if they actually wanted to all-out initiate you, you have more CC when you have a mage in the bottom lane, you have earlier power spikes, and if a team tries to set up a split push at 22 minutes, you just crush them. But now, both teams have these scaling marksmen, so they have like one less effective 20-minute power spike character, so you can get to late game more easily, and most of these split pushers don't actually become oppressive until 3 or 4 items. Right? So I think that has
So in a
something to
sense,
do
you're
with
giving the top laners more time?
You're giving the top laners more time, and you're giving the 4-man squads less ability to force really aggressively. I think there's actually not that many great engagers in the game. Like when we see Jarvan getting picked top lane against Mundo, because he can engage, I think it's a point in the meta where it's hard to start fights.
I mean, you can see us grappling with it. I'm sure the teams are as well. Darshan, thank you so much for joining us here on this segment. We've got one more game before we close out the weekend. Clutch Gaming and Optic Gaming duke it out for Game 5.
Golden Guardians looking to shut this one down. 100 Thieves still looking to find the damage first. Ssumday's going to be targeted down now by the turret. Lourlo trying to escape. 100 Thieves look to find the damage, and they have it.
Here.
Attacks coming through.
Will he die, though? Might.
Nicky's close.
Whoa.
And
No.
counterattack from the Thieves comes in. Contractz taken down as the chain CC finds its way onto Matt. It's a 2-for-0 going the way of 100 Thieves. Lourlo on the front line going to be taken very low. Has to flash away, but it's only back to the fountain to watch the Nexus fall, and 100 Thieves will take the win.
If meat and bread are the backbone of a sub, then Mike's Way is the heart and soul. Lettuce and tomatoes, onions and spices, all drizzled in the juice. That's the difference. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.